One of our readers wants to know how much do you practice before the tour and during the tour?
We practice in Los Angeles, usually the music for a couple of weeks?
Couple weeks.
And then we do a couple of weeks of full production. Once we get on the road, there's no practice, especially this tour, because as I said, we don't even get sound check. So once we are in the throes of the tour, we can't really practice. There's just no capability to do that physically. We can't all get together with our instruments. I mean, if we needed to do something, I suppose we could rent gear on a day off, but we haven't done that this tour.
No, haven't had to really, because we worked everything out pretty much.
Yeah, we learned a lot of extra songs.
Yeah.
We learned a lot of songs that we're not even playing.
So how hard is it to do a show without the sound check? I mean, does it take like 3 first songs to get the sound system like going all right and stuff?
In the beginning, it was a little more shaky because it's all new and luckily our monitor guy has been with us for a long time, so he already kind of knows what we like to hear in our mixes and all that. So the first few shows was kind of us telling him what we needed, and it's kind of evened out now. I think the last month and a half or so, I've been pretty good with. It's kind of leveled out. And
the cool thing is that we got to the last 5 days. We actually rehearsed at the stadium in Cologne where we were doing our first show. Yeah. So the sound man had a chance to dial the sound in. I think the sound man has an easier job than the monitor guy. The monitor guy is the guy that mixes our individual mixes on stage. And that's the part that changes because the venues always change, and Alicia's sound changes a lot, and she's flying around and moving around, so he's got to be like really on his toes, and he's fantastic. His name is Horst, and we're pretty dialed in. We're dialed in. I mean, it does take every tour. I think always takes a week or two to kind of get everything really kind of locked in, but because we'd played together so much last year, even though we had 4 months off, we had nearly a month of rehearsal. So by the time we hit the stage, it was like, felt comfortable. Especially this one. Playing with this one feels like home. It feels like a nice warm bath. Never mind.
Well, Mark, you produced your own DVD called A Day in a Recording Studio. Where did you get the idea for the DVD?
Well, I'd always wanted to do a drumming DVD, but everything had been done before. And I do a lot of drum tracks where I play drums for other people's tracks, and I do it in my studio. And I've been doing this process for many years where people send me MP3s, and I record them, and I send them back individual drum track files on an FTP site. And I woke up one morning and I thought, wait a minute, because I've been doing seminars about this. I thought, why don't I do a DVD? Everybody needs to know, because basically the music business has changed. It's a self-generated business, and people need to sort of make music themselves now. Record companies don't even look at bands unless they have finished demos and masters and a big YouTube following and selling their own DVDs and CDs. So I thought I'll contribute my knowledge about that, because I have that knowledge and I have a studio. And one of my best friends, my wife Lisa's partner Sam, he's a cinematographer for the BBC, so he flew out, and I thought, well, rather than having a company produce it, I know exactly how I want to do it, so I'll produce it myself, finance it myself, and then get a distributor later on, and that's what we did, and apparently it's doing quite well, and it's a lot of fun, and I kind of did it with a lot of comedy, like, my wife's checking the drums for me, and we fake a fight about disputing mic technique with me and my studio partner, and you gotta have a kind of a light heart with all this stuff, because it's only music in the end. Can't take it too seriously. You gotta have some fun.
Well, do you guys, when you listen to music, do you ever listen to like bass tracks or drum tracks, and do you ever think like, oh my god, that sounds horrible?
I don't know. I mean, I usually don't really listen to music that I think is horrible.
Good point. My philosophy is I try to find what I like, because if I'm listening to this music, that means that it has some reasonable amount of success usually. So I try to find what I like. And people, when I do my seminars, people give me CDs a lot, and I try to listen to them and give people feedback. And I try not to say that's horrible. I try to find what I like and point out what's working, and then point out what needs to improve upon. We just cut a bass track right before this interview. Yeah, we cut a bass track for this Austrian producer who lives in Mallorca, who's producing this band of kids, and I did the drums, and then Eva did the bass, and I recorded her doing the bass. So we're always doing bass and drum stuff anyway. She just played on this. I produced this kid named Jordan Azor, and she played on his record, and always doing stuff. Speaking of drums and bass tracks.
Yeah. One of our readers wants to know if we talk about money, which is the better way to get food on the table, being on tour or working in the studio?
They're both good ways, right?
Yeah, it just kind of depends on the situation, really. It depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it just depends. I mean, some tours pay better than others. Some studio sessions pay better than others. It just kind of depends on what's going on. But when you are doing studio work, usually you're at home. You can be at home.
Yeah.
And you can sort of sustain a living at home. Whereas when you're touring, you're traveling. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. I think some people are. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to tour. A lot of people don't enjoy that because they're away from home, they're away from their families. And then there's others that do, so.
And I think like with musicians like us, we kind of balance it between both jobs, because I love recording, I love touring, and as I said earlier, the business has changed. The day of all the big session musicians and session recordings doesn't really exist anymore. It's more of a self-generated business, so I think you got to combine. Most musicians I know combine both elements of touring and recording and writing and producing and
writing is really kind of the best way to just make money, it seems like these days. Getting credits on whether it's commercial work or records or whatever seems to be a good way to make a living.
Definitely.